Sawadee Krap and welcome to another episode here for the Fungal Pod, Mindful Media and Communication. In case you're watching this and you're wondering why do you look so weird with your face? I mean, weirder than usual. Just lost a contact lens and now my eyes I couldn't find it and I had to record now before the light is gone and everything. So apologies if my eye makes weird movements, but I wanted to get this episode done because, I thought the last time I dissected or looked into a famous podcaster, it got some interesting feedback and people said, we want more. Well, 5 people or so said it. So I figured, hey, it's a good exercise for me to keep doing that. So I looked at another big podcaster or content creator. I looked at Patrick Bet-David. So welcome to the Bet-David Chronicles. Can I call it like that? I think so. Entrepreneurial genius or master of illusion? Allegedly. Do I have to say that already? I'm not saying anything mean. I mean, not really. Let's see. So welcome back to the podcast. I'm trying to slice through the digital media landscape with the precision of a ninja. And, let's see if I slice through Patrick Bet-David's business, actually not communication skills as well. So let's check it out. And who is this guy and how does he communicate? A guy that's part motivational guru, part entrepreneur, or some sort of mythological creature. Who knows what's happening with PBD? So Patrick Bet-David, right, might ring a bell by now because probably all your favorite podcasters or content creators have been on his show, at least if you're a non-Vogue, non-PC content connoisseur. That was smart. He runs his content on YouTube, on the Valuetainment channel or on the PBD Podcast channel. He's the guy who won't shut up about how he made it from humble beginnings to hosting one of the most probably successful podcasts right now, I would assume, looking at the guests. And yeah, it's more hipster right now than any vinyl. That's my German collection out there. Very hip to be on the PBD podcast right now, I think. So as always, I'm going to throw some theories out there and let's see what we can do with them when we analyze the podcast and the way he communicates. So one of the first theories I thought that fits with almost every long-form podcast is the social learning theory. So Patrick Bet-David is that cool teacher who knew a bit too much about cyber attacks, for example, and it's like any kind of content or topic that he talks about, right? So it's like learning from that uncle who always has a conspiracy theory ready, but who knows about it. So he knows. He's in this case, he's like Joe Rogan, right? So he talks to people that are specialists in a certain topic, listens to them. He takes notes even during the podcast, which is very interesting and good. And then he refers to the notes and asks follow-up questions. So he learns while he's talking to those people, and while he does that, we learn as well. It's also very helpful that he always has those 3 stooges with him, who make him sound so much smarter after especially those two dudes who always yell at each other. They make PBD sound so much smarter. I'm not saying he's not smart, but I'm just saying those 2 guys that always yell at each other make him sound so much smarter, because after they yell at each other for 5 minutes, then he's like, guys, and then he says something, I don't know, with common sense, and you're like, oh yeah, he made a good point there. So it's just a smart setup, I think. But yeah, so the social learning theory is definitely a theory that can be applied here, as with many long-form podcasts, where you talk to smart people or people that are experts in a certain field. You learn something, then you keep following up, you ask follow-up questions, you keep learning more. Good thing, right? It's a good thing. What's clear, though, at the PBD podcast is also that they clearly have an agenda, right? So agenda setting theory also clearly applies here. Because of course, they decide who do they talk to. For example, they talk to Tucker Carlson or whatever, right? That's agenda. Who do we invite? Agenda point number 1. What do we talk about in those interviews? Agenda point number 2. how do we talk about those things? Agenda point number 3. Right, so agenda setting also definitely at play here. Mostly right now, it's probably people that more or less align with what PBD says. Sometimes he talks to people that don't align with everything that he said, which is also very interesting in my opinion. I like that a lot, because then you can see who's got better arguments and you can make your mind up by yourself. But mostly, of course, there's an agenda to who do we invite. Also, if you invite someone that you disagree with, but you invite them to talk to you so that you can disprove their points, for example, that's also an agenda point, right? So agenda setting theory also obviously applies here. The agenda that they have, of course, it's not always exactly the same. It's not like this is agenda point number 1, but I think you can see in which direction the Valuetainment channel, the PBD podcast channel, is leaning. And that's the agenda they're trying to drive, of course. And this works quite well, because if you look at the use and gratification theory, if you realize that we keep coming back for more and more and more and more. So they're giving us what we are longing for, what we want, if you will. And because you get what we want, be that information, be that entertainment, be it some fun takes, be it some long form discussions on like why the left are so woke or whatever, you're coming back. You're like, hey, yeah, cool, I enjoyed this a lot. If you like people yelling, then you watch the Michael Rappaport episode, for example, and you're coming back. If you wanted to see like Ryan Garcia one last time before he completely lost it, for example, and you're like, oh, that was interesting, you're coming back for more. Okay, so it's like this, you get like this buffet of content, if you will. Yeah, like I said, from Michael Rappaport to Ryan Garcia to Chel Sonnen as of late. So there's always something for someone. So you can always come back for more. Okay, because who doesn't love a good buffet with lots of choices, right? Especially if it's free. It's on YouTube. And in this case also, you don't get food poisoning from it. Maybe mind, but that's then up to the audience. And I totally trust that the audience, you are mindful enough to make sense of all the content that you are consuming. You could also, and I think that's one of PBD's strengths actually, looking at the narrative theory. Yeah, so the narrative theory means like that you create a narrative that favors your agenda. Okay, and I think PBD is very, very good at that. More on this in a second, but he's very good at talk. He's a great talker. And every question that comes up, he somehow manages to spin a story around without directly answering it. And yeah, having that said, I have to mention very, very briefly, not in detail, but I have to mention that PBD is no stranger to controversy. It's like that one friend with like, what metaphor am I using? Like the friend that throws great parties, but maybe has sold some questionable timeshares. Does it fit? I'm not sure. So I'm not saying PBD is a friend, but I'm also not saying it, right? So his past ventures have like danced on the line between like brilliant and ambitious. But I mean, who hasn't stretched the truth about how successful your lemonade stand was in the past, right? But the thing is, so like haters such as Coffeezilla. So if you want to know, if you want more, search Patrick Bet David on the Coffeezilla channel. He's got a few more insights there. So I don't want to misinterpret everything, but his business seemed to have been like built on the pyramid scheme template, more or less. And every time he's asked about it, he just uses narrative theory and spins it like, yeah, good. I'm actually very glad that you asked me that. Let me tell you. So in 1974, when I first, and then in the 80s, I went to the military, and then he spins like this narrative, and you're like, oh yeah, that is very interesting. Wow, it's a little bit like Putin talking to Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson asks one question, and Putin is like, oh yeah, General, but in 1374. that's what PBD does too. When asked about like his questionable businesses, like, hey, what about that business? Wasn't it a pyramid scheme or oh yeah, I'm glad that you asked. In 1973, right? So very, very, very good at spinning the narrative, creating a narrative that fits his agenda. Gotta applaud storytelling techniques and storytelling prowess, I think. If we continue looking at his magic, so to speak, you can also see that the one thing that he does very well, I think, is that he has like a knack for making you, the audience, ponder. If you like, for example, should wrap your phone in a tinfoil, if you should go out and demonstrate. So sometimes they have like very thoughtful, very deep moments. Also then about finance stuff sometimes, that one older dude is like always prepared. I'm not sure if he's always right, but he's always prepared. Reads from his like note with a pen in his hand, so it looks like he's prepared. So they mostly PBD, but like the whole panel have like this ability to make you think and be like, oh yeah, maybe the votes are, and then you think about politics or whatnot, or finance, but then like this, they have Chael Sonnen on, and then they're just joking around, for example, and it's entertaining again, and then they go deep with Chael Sonnen on politics as well, for example. So they do have this ability to tell stories and to give you what you want, and the whole business of interviewing famous people is nothing new for Patrick David, right? Patrick Bet David. That's what he did like with his company before. They had like huge events with the company, and he would invite like all those famous people on stage to have like discussions with them. And now they basically just have taken this exclusive event kind of thing and put it into a podcast form. And having like then those three, and I said stooges earlier, but just like to exaggerate a little bit, of course, they probably know what they're doing. Having those three other guys on there, very diverse, and those three other white guys on there. I'm just making a diversity mention here because they discussed like the diversity hires for a while. So it's just a callback here. I'm not saying he needs to have more diverse cast, but having those three other people on there, like I said earlier, helps because, like I said, those two dudes that yell that make him look way, 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 way smarter. So that's I think very thoughtful. He's very thoughtful in producing media anyways. They know exactly which clips to put out. They plan very well what to publish when, which guests to invite when, like what does coincide with like which event and so on. So that is very smart. Overall, I think that they're doing one of the best jobs when it comes to background research, it seems, and like just planning. And that might be because think about a business what you will, but he did make that business, even if it's shady, allegedly, into something. And now he's distracting from it, but he made it into something for himself. So running a business, right? Congratulations. But if you run your media channel like a business, then you probably plan. At least this is what you're good at, planning stuff, right? So, and this is what it looks to me like, that this media channel, Valuetainment and the PBD podcast, very well planned through. Okay. Like I said, I do invite you to look into other channels such as CoffeeZilla. And there's another one which I forgot now. I'm very sorry. Just search YouTube for PBD Dissected or something. Then you will see more like the business stuff behind it. Again, I'm not saying he's the devil. I'm just saying if you want to know more, look at those channels because I definitely don't have the background knowledge or experience. I didn't do enough research on it because my point is the communication. And I hope that those few theories I threw at you right now just showcased a little bit how important it is to actually plan, and that even in podcasts that just seem like conversations, that there is planning and that there are theories behind it. Yeah, there's always, for example, an agenda behind it, and so on. All right. Now let me know what you think about Patrick Bet David. Hey, I said the name right. Do you follow Valuetainment? I do follow it. So even though I'm not necessarily just a big fanboy, but like I said, I appreciate the planning, and I'm very interested to see how different channels create content, plan, and so on. And that's why I follow them as well. Let me know what you think. Do you follow the Valuetainment PBD? What do you think about it? Does it impact your, I want to say enjoyment, but your overall feeling if you know about the allegedly shady business behind it? Or do you say, no, that's the past, now it's the present, I don't care? Let me know at funkitpod on social media, funkitpod@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, that would be cool. Click on that bell to get notifications once new videos get uploaded. Leave a review, that would be fantastic and helps a lot. And until then, stay safe, take care. Let me know your favorite podcasts.